Hello, my name's Tony and welcome back to Fragdicted. So in today's episode we're going to be reviewing two fragrances from Khadlaj. And the first one is Oud pour Klassik and the second is Musk pour Narcis. So if you want to hear more about these, stay right where you are. So thanks for joining me, I really appreciate it. Now I have seen two wonderful reviews on the first one, which is Oud pour Klassik, and they were done by Barry and by Matt. I'll be leaving both of the reviews below. Now I was really excited to try this, and the reason being is because it says Oud pour Klassik. Now I know that my friend Barry isn't a massive oud lover and he absolutely sung this fragrance's praises. So that must mean it's good, right? Let's see. Right, so firstly, let me run through the notes and then I'll show you the presentation. So in the top of this, we have rose, we have agar wood. In the mid, we have patchouli and geranium. And in the base, we have oud. Yes, more oud. And cedarwood. Before we get into the breakdown of what the fragrance is like, let me show you the presentation. Right, so bottles look great, don't they? They really do look something special in my opinion. They're so heavy, they're so weighty, and they make an absolute brilliant fragrance for taking pictures with. Let me tell you what this one is like. So it opens with a really bright, light, almost watery consistency. But it really shocked me, the opening. I just was not expecting the type of fragrance it is, and that isn't in a bad way. I expected it to be a rose oud traditional combination, a very Middle Eastern fragrance, and I don't get that at all in the opening. It is completely different to what I was expecting, and actually I think the notes can be a little misleading because you might expect that yourself. So I really didn't expect what was going to come out of the sprayer of this. It's really shocked me. It's so light and airy, and like I said, with that watery consistency. You do pick up on the rose, but let me try and explain that rose to you. It's not the traditional sort of really overly sweet or jammy or powdery rose that you might expect in other fragrances. Imagine that you've put a few rose petals, fresh rose petals, in water, and you've left those to soak in the water for a little while, and then you maybe cup your hands, put your hands in, you maybe got a couple of petals in your hand with the water, and you get that very, very light, watery rose scent. So a little like rose water. The rose is very, very light. Now I think this mixes expertly with the geranium. It can only be the geranium in my opinion, because it gives off this almost fruity nuance, and it really confuses me because it comes off as like a blackberry or a cranberry nuance. It's not overly fruity, but it's not overly citrusy, but it does come across as a little bit fruity, and there's no fruits listed. So I can only think that it's that geranium note. Now, it reminds me for some reason of like a rose flavoured gin and tonic. That's what I get from this in the opening. And I think that helps with the lightness, almost unexplained scent profile. but it's very, very hard to put your finger on it. It is actually very well crafted. Now let's talk about the oud. Now the oud in this isn't your traditional thick, resinous, overly woody profile. It isn't that at all. It's like almost like a clean medicinal oud, like a sort of aroma chemical that's been created to give it that slightly oud feeling to it. And that suits me down to the ground. The people that know me well know that I'm not massively into oud. So this has surprised me, and it probably explains why Barry does like it so much, because it hasn't got that really over challenging oud note in. It's not animalic at all. Now in the air, this leaves an incredible sillage wherever you go. It leaves this scent trail behind you as you walk. It just seems to follow you about. Now I've worn this to work a couple of times and I've had compliments on it both times. People seem to like it. I was in an office, I walked out of the office, we're all wearing masks as well, bear in mind, and I was out of that office for about 10 minutes and someone walked in there and could smell it right away and said, "Who smells good?" And it was me that had just been in there wearing this, and I probably sprayed it about 3 hours before that compliment. So it lasts very well, the sillage is very good for quite some time. I don't get any of the patchouli from this at all, but I do get, I think, a little bit of the wood, which is helping give it some depth. Performance. I find it absolutely incredible that something so light and airy and watery, as previously explained, can perform so well. It is on the skin from the moment you spray it, and it could be 10, 12 hours later. Now, one warning, you spray this on clothes, it is staying there. I have sprayed this on my arms and stuff, and it's managed to get onto my sleeve jackets, and I can still smell this fragrance on those sleeve jackets days and days later. It does then leave this slightly eastern sort of dried down, dirty oud in the deep, deep dry down. You don't get that in the wearing, but you do get it left on clothes, and that can interfere if you are wearing other fragrance in and around your hands and wrists and you've got a jacket on. You can still smell that, and it does interfere a little bit. So what I would say is just be careful where you spray it. If you want to wear it on clothes, obviously, to give that longevity, it's not really needed, then what I would suggest, spray it on something that you're going to put in the wash afterwards. Now I really, really like this. There is just something about it that really suits me, really suits my skin, that I really like, that I find really, really addictive. Smelling it out of the atomizer, you get that slight oudiness that I can smell on my jackets when I've worn it. But when you spray it, it just gives this really uplifting energy and brightness to it. You could wear this any time of the year. It is so, so versatile. I think this is really going to shine in high heat. It's a really long last fragrance that is going to perform really well in any environment. You could dress it up, you could dress it down. I would say this is a fantastic find. I can't take any credit for it because obviously people have reviewed it before me. They gave it a glowing review, and I am too. I just think for £45 for an EDP concentration of this quality, that is incredible. Now it might come across as a little bit synthetic, but that doesn't mean it's not good quality, so don't get that mixed up. Lovely surprise from beginning to end of the wearing for me. That is Oud pour Klassik. Let's move on to the next one. So next we have Musk pour Narcis, and you can see big heavy metal lid on the top. Nice little design. I believe the lids are changing. I'll try and leave a photo here. I know from all the fragrances I own and enjoy, I like musk-based fragrances. So I was really looking forward to trying this, especially as I owned the Oud pour Klassik first and really enjoyed that. This is from the same range. As you can see, the same bottles, which I just think are incredible. So I was really looking forward to trying this. Before you watch my review, don't go right now, but Matt at Question Set has just done an amazing review of this. So go and check that out to get another understanding of what this fragrance might be like. Now let me explain it to you. This is again £45 for 100 ml, and it's an EDP concentration. The notes are bergamot and lavender in the top. In the mid, we have musk and green notes. And in the base we have sandalwood, amber and oud. Now when you spray this on the back of your hand, let me do that. Now that leaves, obviously it's wet at the moment, but it does leave a sheen on your hand, and I'll go back to that at the end of the review. It really, it doesn't really come off. It sticks to the skin and leaves like it's this dry layer of fragrance over your hand. So it's just pretty obvious it's going to perform quite well right from the off. This is a very simple, clean musk fragrance. It reminds me of clean washing, it reminds me of fresh bed sheets. It's very clean, almost white musk. There is nothing challenging about it at all. It's got a very slight hint of sweetness. It's a little tiny bit powdery, but I wouldn't explain it as a powdery fragrance. It's definitely a musky fragrance though. So you have to like musk to like this. It's pretty obvious, the name's on the bottle. I get a little tiny hint of the woods in the background, but that is really about it. I don't pick up any of the bergamot, I don't pick up any of the green notes, and I don't pick up any of the oud. But none of that has disappointed me at all. Let me explain further. It opens with this clean musky smell. It's got this mix of a slight floral, and that's the lavender. Then you get the hint of the slight wood, and that's the sandalwood. It sticks to the skin, as I've said, and you can see that it's still not come off the hand. It's still stuck to the skin. I've worn this 3 times so far. The first 2 times were on its own, and be honest, I did crave something a little bit more. Not from it, because I knew what it was, but the 3rd time I wore it, I tried it with another fragrance layered over the top, and that has changed this fragrance for me and why I'm going to really enjoy having it in my collection. It is an absolutely cracking fragrance for layering. If you like musky fragrances and you've maybe got some fragrances in your collection that you would like to last a little bit longer, spray this. You can see that sticks to the skin. Then spray your favourite fragrance over the top, and not only will that hopefully make the longevity last a bit longer of that fragrance, but I can almost guarantee that this is going to outperform the fragrance you layer over the top. Now you've got to go careful with this. It can be misleading because it's such a clean scent profile. You might be misled into thinking that it's not going to last, or that you might not smell it anymore. But if you spray it in the morning, you can still smell it on you when you get home, and it leaves that sheen on the back of your hand for some time. So it's definitely performing very well. I actually really love the way it sticks to the skin, because I've not got another fragrance, I don't think, that does this. So it adds something different into my collection. So a lovely, long-lasting base for lots of your favourite fragrances, especially if you like musk. What I would say, if you oversprayed this, you put too many sprays on, it could be a little much for some people. So I would say go easy on the trigger. It's very pleasant, it's very simplistic, and it's obviously very musky. I'm delighted to have this in my collection, so thanks again to Aroma Concepts. Another great release and great value for money at £45. Now I'll be leaving a code. I have specifically asked not to get any kickbacks from that code, but it will give you 10% off. So if you want to use this code, I'll leave it in the description below. And if you want to check out the website, it's a rabbit hole for Middle Eastern fragrances, and you can get lost there. It is so vast, their collection, and they also ship worldwide. My dealings with them so far have been exemplary. Their customer service, I think, is great. So thanks to the guys over at Aroma Concepts again. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you got something from it. 2 great value fragrances, and 2 that I'm really going to enjoy owning in my collection. Amazing looking quality, as you can see with the glass. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe. You can also support me on Ko-fi. The link to buy me a coffee is in the description below. I hope to see you again in the next one. Don't forget to keep smelling wonderful.